Afternoon guys, how are we? It's been a very long time since my last videos, and I've had some people that have been asking me about where I've been and what I've been doing recently, and I do admit I've been a little bit slack kind of getting these videos together and updates together for you. And some of that reason is because I've been doing a lot of work recently and just kind of trying to keep on top of things, which is kind of important. But also I've had some hiccups, and I've been doing some kind of semi-landscaping work and things like that, which has really just kind of put things on the back burner. And I haven't had that many of my fruits pop up, fruiting, ready to be tasted and spoken about recently. So it's all of these things in a combination that mean I've been just a little bit slack. But today I think I'm going to put together a couple of videos for you. Number one, we're going to talk about a particular fruit in this video. That's the Brazilian cherry. That's Eugenia uniflora. And this is one that you might have been looking at purchasing potentially yourself, where you've been looking at maybe adding it to your collection and wondering whether or not you should do that. And we'll have a look at that fruit today. We'll have a talk about what it tastes like and maybe whether or not it's worth putting in your own garden. And then after that, I think I'm going to film a second video just really quickly talking about what I've been doing, maybe some of the things that are happening in the garden and things that I'm hoping are going to change and maybe evolve over the next few months. And maybe in that video as well we'll talk about why I've been maybe less active. And I have been looking at all in your comments, and I've responded to a few of you. I know I've been a little bit slack on that, but I do appreciate everybody that kind of watches these videos, and recently reached 1,000 subs, which is kind of cool and not something that I've expected. And I'll try to be a little bit more kind of updated from here on, depending on how things go. But let's jump straight into today's video, and the plant we're talking about that is Eugenia uniflora, the Brazilian cherry, sometimes called pitanga to some people. And in particular, this is the Black Beauty variety. Now this is available from the Daily's website, and you can buy it in other places. And I've had this one in a pot all the way since Canberra, and I'm looking for the tag right now, and it looks like it's down here on the ground. So I've had this all the way from Canberra. I've nursed it through various moves, and it's one of those plants that looks really cool, at least in my opinion. I love the look of the fruits on this plant. And it's one that if you go onto the Daily's website, you'll be able to see their own kind of interpretation of what the plant tastes like, what it's good for. And a lot of you might have seen this and maybe even have it in your backyards. And those that are looking particularly within Australia and use Daily's as your number one tropical, subtropical fruit provider, this is one you would have definitely seen before. And there's a lot of things to love about this plant. Number one, it grows in kind of this hedgy sort of way, and you can forgive me for not having the lawn mowed particularly well under here, but it's got these beautiful green leaves. It's really kind of a nice form. It grows quite vigorously, so this has been in ground now for about 2 to 3 years. It's nearly up to the roof of the house, and I haven't pruned this one at all since it's gone in, so I've really let it do its own thing. It fruits quite prolifically, and I must admit that even though it does fruit quite prolifically and it does put off a lot of fruits, and we're in winter now, so we're in the beginning of June, winter's just started here, I have not actually done a lot of tasting of this plant just because things have been so kind of up in the air. I've been focusing on other things, that even though this has fruited in previous years, I haven't really given it a shot to see what it tastes like. So this is going to be the first year that I've really given it a try. Now it's not the first attempt or the first taste we're going to do today. I have tasted it before, and I'm not going to spoiler it with what my preconceived notions of this plant are, but we're going to give it a go again now, and I'll kind of give you my impressions as we taste it. Now you'll notice a few things. If you look at these particular plants, these Brazilian cherries online, you'll see there's a couple of different varieties. Some will come with fruits that look a lot like this, which is just this kind of red, bright red, vibrant red color. And these are ones that you can commonly get. This is a particular cultivar called Black Beauty, and it's known for its really kind of dark black red fruits. This is meant to be a nicer variety. It's meant to have a lot more sweet flavors, a lot more flavors that people would enjoy to eat, because there are some downsides to this fruit, and this is one that's kind of outlined as being one of the better cultivars that you can buy. Now, if you have a look at the Daily's video on this particular plant, you'll see that they do a taste test of this, and it looks quite delicious compared to what they speak about. So let's give it a try now, and we'll see what we think about this. Let's see if I can get my camera. And this is that fruit that I just pulled off the tree. And I have, as I mentioned, tried a few of these before, and you know what, now that we're getting to the tasting of it, it is not my favorite fruit in the world. It smells resinous-y. It's got this turpentine type flavor. If you've seen these, it's a different channel I've done that. I've done a video on this weed called the tobacco bush, which is a weed in Queensland that has that same kind of kerosene, fuel, petrol-y sort of smell to it. Now, one thing that I really do like about these berries is that they're quite juicy. So I'll give it a squish before we even get into it. You can probably see all the juice coming out of this. They're a really juicy kind of, full of kind of flavor and juice plant, which seems like it'll be great on kind of first examination. It's one of those things that we really want to see from a fruit full of juice, full of flavor. But when we get into tasting it, do you know what? This one is actually nowhere near as bad as ones I've tried before. This one's actually quite sweet. This one is actually really, really good. So maybe my preconceptions have been wrong. Let's grab another one. Another one here. The problem that I've had with this in the past is that resinous-y flavor has kind of made it give this really bitter taste, this really quite back of the tongue, into the throat chemicalness. This one's a little bit more tart, but it's actually also quite edible. As we speak now, I'm upgrading this in my mind to what was going to be a 3 out of 4 out of 10 to being maybe a 6 or a 7. I'm actually enjoying that quite a bit. So the flavor I'm getting today is a nice tart flavor. It's got that resin in the background, but it's not as imposing or as terrible as plants, as fruits I've tried before. It's kind of there as an accent more than a dominant taste. Look at that juice just spurting out everywhere. It's got a cherry-like flavor. It's sweet, it's tart, it's actually quite nice. So I intended to start this video by talking about how this is a plant that we may not want to plant in our garden. It might be a bit overrated, but I've changed my mind. I've also prepared earlier a couple of refrigerated varieties that I took a day or two before. And they do say that once you chuck them in the fridge, they get even better and even sweeter. So I've got one that's been in the fridge for a couple of days now. And I can agree with that. It is cold, which is nice. The resinous flavor has been dialed back even further. And it's got another fruit in there that I'm finding it difficult to identify. It's something that's a lot more commonly on to eat. So, all right, I've changed my opinion. This plant here, this Brazilian cherry, worth potentially adding to your collection. Maybe I just tried it a little bit too late, a little bit too early. Sorry, maybe if I didn't give it enough of a chance, it just wasn't quite ripe enough, or hadn't been through enough of its seasons, enough time on the plant to make it quite worthwhile. But today, this plant is actually quite delicious, and definitely one that I'm happy now that I've got in my garden. Now, a couple of the other things that I was going to mention as a potential downside for this plant is the way that the seeds will drop down below the plant and shoot quite quickly. So you can see we've got all these volunteers. Now, these actually don't come out of the ground very easily. They have a nice long taproot, which means that when they root themselves in, they become difficult to pull out. So you've really got to make sure that these don't become weedy, because they will become one of those plants that you will potentially regret if you get a little bit of a stand. And you're just seeing, I've just tried to pull that one out, it snapped off the root. These taproots that they have are quite aggressive, and they do seed quite readily. So you can see underneath this plant from last season, we have a number of these on here. And originally my intention was to come along and say that because of the potential weediness, because of that resinous horrible flavour, that this isn't one you should plant, but I've changed my verdict. I think that if you've got the space for it, and I'm going to trim this down now and hedge it quite nicely so that it's got a lot of so that it's going to take up less of this space, and we'll maybe put out some more fruits next year. I think this is one you can definitely add to your garden. So there we go, Eugenia uniflora, the Brazilian cherry. Yeah, add it to your garden. This Black Beauty variety has to be taken at the right time, otherwise that resinous character is just too much. But if you do pick it at the right time, or you chuck it in the fridge like I did today, worthwhile adding to your collection. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I'll add a bit of a garden update in my next video, but in the meantime, we'll catch you in the next one.